Ayo! What's up, everybody? My name is Sabrina, and today we're just going to be doing a little bit of a story time. I haven't really been putting much content on this channel, so I figured let's start this little thing off with. What should we start off with? You know what? Let's start off with the basics. Let's just start off with how I joined the furry fandom. Now, just a little disclaimer, I'm still working on the audio, so I do apologize if some of my words don't seem to come out pronunciated. I mean, it's kind of hard to speak with this foam and glue and fabric and fur all covering your mouth, but I will definitely try my best to enunciate everything. There are going to be some details in there that I may or may not explain. So if you're ever confused, let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, let's get started. Let's just start off in my baby years, right? So we're just going to start off with just Animal Planet. I mean, that's as far back as I can think of how this whole snowball effect happened. So I started watching Animal Planet as a child, and on Animal Planet there was a show called Big Cat Diary. Now, Big Cat Diary was a show that showed big cats. I mean, that's as Barney style as I can get. They showed lions, they showed leopards, they showed cheetahs, they showed jaguars. But on this particular day, they had a special edition of showing tigers, Siberian tigers, and Bengal tigers. And I was really fascinated about this. The power and the strength of these big cats. And, tigers being the biggest of the big cat realm or the species. I just became so hooked on it. It was so fascinating that it was as if I had the chance to be born as something, as an animal, or what animal would I choose, tigers would have definitely been part of it. And I wanted to learn more. However, I seemed to have a trouble finding Animal Planet within the next couple of days. And I was starting to get a little bored. I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what else can I watch on TV that mommy and daddy wouldn't restrict me so much on? And late at night, when I was supposed to go to bed, I was watching Cartoon Network. And particularly about Cartoon Network there was a time slot where the kids shows would stop, and then the slightly mature content of those cartoons will start to play. And I stumbled upon this side of Cartoon Network called Toonami. And Toonami aired a lot of anime. How does anime mix into this whole thing? Well, for starters, FYI to everybody, Sabrina is an anime inspired persona. Sabrina is mixed of three types of animes. I mean, the third one, you can argue if it's an anime or cartoon. I mean, that's up to your personal opinion. The first anime that really makes up Sabrina, I mean, by at least 10%, is Inuyasha. Inuyasha was a 90s anime show dealing with a half-demon boy trying to get a hold of a sacred jewel shard in order for him to become a full-fledged demon. And how does Inuyasha inspire Sabrina? First off, Sabrina she still kind of is today in her character, was very disgruntled, kind of a bad mood sort of character. And the biggest trademark from Inuyasha were the stripes, were these two stripe markings on her face, as well as her eyebrows. Inuyasha had really thick eyebrows. Also, in the series, when Inuyasha does turn into a full-fledged demon, he has these same particular markings. Now, they're not black or like, I don't know, purple. It's been a while since I even watched the series. I may need to go back and watch it anyway. But that was the first main anime show that has brought and inspired what and who Sabrina would be. The second anime series that really brought her up, gotta fix this. The second anime series that really brought Sabrina to life and possibly makes up the majority makeup of who Sabrina is Dragon Ball Z. Now, Dragon Ball Z, breaking it down to the basic level, is a show about men who look like they're on steroids or have been pumping iron way too long. They fight each other, and in order to win over the other, they scream for as long and as loud as possible in hopes to transform into a much powerful version of themselves, which is known as Super Saiyans. Now, you probably noticed that, well, you have no choice but to notice, Sabrina has some very long Super Saiyan hair. Now, I will admit, yes, back then, Dragon Ball Z did not have females who were Super Saiyans. This kind of came from when Dragon Ball Super came out, and the female character, Kale and Leafa, came out, and they were Super Saiyans. So Sabrina being the female Super Saiyan, that started to build up into her character. Now the final show, anime styled show, was called Legend of Korra. And, gotta rock the jacket, love the jacket, and just love the character in general. Legend of Korra is a continuous series from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And it just basically speaks on a character who is destined to be the Avatar, master of all four elements. And you just see how Korra deals with trying to be the Avatar, as well as just trying to build and grow as an individual. Now, disclaimer, Sabrina does not bend fire. She does not bend any elements. She does not bend at all. Sabrina's background is completely left field from all those anime series. However, because of those anime shows, those shows inspired me to create Sabrina as she was today. And I mean it as today. Previously, Sabrina looked nothing like this. She looked nothing like this at all. Sabrina did not start off as a furry. She didn't start off as, oh, I discovered the furry fandom on Google or on fanfiction or on DeviantArt. No, Sabrina started off as an imaginary friend. In my childhood, I did have friends. I have an older sister. But even then, I wasn't fully associated with them. I still kind of felt outcast because I had a different way of socializing with people versus how other people socialize. And in hopes to cope with that, I created an imaginary friend. Now, yes, I was mildly bullied for having an imaginary friend in middle school. Oh my gosh, you're 13 and you still have an imaginary friend. That's so childish. Oh, look at the little baby. Oh, look at the muscular little baby. Yes, I got picked on in middle school for having muscles. Go figure, right? But with that small itty bitty history, Sabrina started off as an imaginary friend. She was just basically a self image of me with tiger ears, and I keep saying it was a cattail, but in my drawings, it definitely looked like a foxtail. She had a foxtail with a fire flame tip at the end. And Sabrina's character and how she was, it still kept with her even now. Sabrina was born from the sun. Her powers was that she can shoot out flames. She can do attacks with flames. She can disappear and reappear with flames. That was her power. No, she couldn't bend the flames or control the flames. No, the flames were just with her because she was born on a planet that's made of flames. It was literally a ball of fire. That's where she came from. And so, as Sabrina was just an imaginary friend, I started to wonder, how can I turn Sabrina into not something from my figment of imagination, but something that can be a little bit realistic? So there I was in this personal dilemma, going through middle school, graduating middle school, heading off to high school for my first year, and the question was still ringing of, how can I make Sabrina have some type of suppleness, more life to her than just something I could think on the top of my head? What can make Sabrina her own individual person? Something that actually lived as an individual person. Well, that's when my good friend Inu, not going to give off official names on this video, want to keep the privacy. My good friend Inu came up, saw my drawings, saw the comics that I was drawing, saw the drawings that I was turning into comics, which later on was turning into literature. And even then, when I turned into literature, that didn't seem like it was gaining any ground. He came up and asked me, hey, are you a furry? What do you mean am I a furry? I don't know what that is. And that was it. That was the first time I ever heard the word furry from anybody or from anything. Even from the past cartoons, the past animes, the Disney movies that I grew up on. The term furry never came to mind, which I can pretty much understand. But even now, as I was pretty much faced with it in front of my face, I'm wondering, okay, well, is Sabrina a furry? Am I a furry? Well, what's a furry? Let's see what this is, and maybe she can be one of these. So I asked him what it is. He briefly explained it, but he told me back in the day, go watch this episode on CSI. Yeah, that wasn't the best idea. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it was the best idea, but it wasn't the best example of what the furry fandom is, or was, or could possibly ever be. The CSI episode didn't really show what I would want Sabrina to be. So, naturally, I just denied it. I didn't want Sabrina to be associated with adults wearing animal costumes and doing adult things. Sabrina back then, she was still within her teenage years. She was the same age as me. We were growing together. So I didn't want Sabrina to be a part of something like that. And so through high school, I kept denying it. Every time when somebody came and asked me, hey, are you a furry? Or, oh, is that your persona? Is this like your persona character? I would instantly deny it. Nope, that's not me. No, that's not a furry. No, no, no. I would never associate Sabrina in any sort of way, shape, or form of being a furry because she doesn't do those things. She doesn't go around and commit crimes. Even though in my literature she kind of does in some shape or form, but she doesn't do those type of crimes. And so after graduation, me going into college, and Sabrina is now a college student just like me. Yes, I still had Sabrina as my invisible friend. I never really spoke up about her because once again, the whole I'm being bullied for constantly having an imaginary friend to talk to, it was just getting kind of annoying. So I kept it to myself. I kept Sabrina to myself. And even in college, when I was away from people, when I was away from the group of friends that I was starting to build, I would still be by myself just talking to her, wondering, hey, what do you look like now as a college student? I mean, I'm sure you look as buff as I do. I was still growing those gains in college. And it kind of just stopped from there. Or you think it would stop from there. Now, online, down in college, I was definitely into the military. I want to be in the military as my career. And even now, to this day, I am currently a service member in the military. And you would think, let me just lean back for a second. Let me just prepare myself. You guys may want to prepare yourself. You would think the terminology, the subject, the word itself, to whatever god or deity is up there, you wouldn't think that somebody in the military would come up to you, not only ask, are you a furry, but to even bring you into the fandom. So around the year 2016, that's when I officially joined the military, enlisted, and of course, even going through enlisted and advanced training, that word seemed to just haunt me. Like, no matter where I went, no matter who was around me, no matter what time of the day, the year, or the month, that I was minding my own business, sitting down, drawing, the term furry would just pop up. I had battle buddies of mine looking at my drawings going, oh my gosh, that's a persona. Oh, you're a furry. No, I'm not that. I'm nowhere near that. No, I can never be associated with that type of stuff. No, I can never do that. I was denying being a furry for so long. So long. And even after I got out of my training, even after I was, patched in and officially into the military, I just never wanted to associate myself. There we go. I never wanted to associate myself with being a furry. That is until one training day, we were out in the woods. I'm in a foxhole. Yes, there are furry terms in the military. It's a giant hole that can fit 2 to 3 people. I was in a foxhole with a couple of soldiers. We were out doing our training. And once again, minding my own business. It's been about 3 hours. We've been sitting in the woods for 2 to 3 days. I haven't showered in those 2 to 3 days because we're in the woods. I'm smelly. I'm stinky. I barely had 3 hours of sleep. And once again, for the life of me, this individual soldier thought it was a good idea to bring up, oh, I saw your drawings the other day and I thought they were really cool. And I just wanted to know, are you a furry? That's it. That's it. I had it. I stinking had it. I had enough of this. Why does this term keep coming up? Why do people assume that I'm a furry just because I'm drawing some half animal or half human or human that has animalistic characters or animal with humanistic characters? Why does this term keep popping up? Of course, that's what I was doing in my brain, but outside, I was just very confused. Okay, battle. Why do you think that my drawing is considered furry? Well, he just simply stated. My character, Saberina, was now into her feral look. She was no longer having mostly human characteristics with a little bit of the animal trait. Now she was majorly animal with human characteristics. You know, her facial structure was starting to change. Her hands were more like paws. Her feet were more like paws. Her body structure was starting to curve in ways of which an animal would be. And I wasn't catching it myself. You know, I figured, oh, she was just getting an upgrade each year as I started to get more and more ideas from animes and cartoons and fan fiction and fan art. I wasn't thinking that I was getting all of this from the furry fandom or the furry community, even when I was Googling stuff that was related to the furry fandom or related to furries. I never associated. So the soldiers sat me down whenever we were finished with our training. He sat me down. We were in our bunks. And, well, he and I were not in the same bunk, but we were socializing. And he sat me down and he showed me some really cool pictures of these fursuits. And I'm thinking, oh, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, here we go, CSI all over again. But then he started to elaborate more and more about these fursuits and telling me that yes, CSI was a part of it. But it was only the bad propaganda of what the furry fandom and the furry community was. And the more I sat down with this military soldier, the more I started to have a change of mind and a change of heart of what the furry fandom was. And I said, okay. He's like, you know, I'm not going to tell you to officially join it or nothing, but, you know, why don't you just give it a try and see what it's like for you? So after the training, I'm returning home and I'm thinking about it. I'm going, okay, maybe Saberina can be a furry. Maybe. Maybe she doesn't have to be what the world has already labeled them as. Maybe she can be something different. Well, I didn't stick on that mindset too much. I was right back to the usual, just completely denying it. And just denying it all in general. And to this day, I really do thank that soldier for elaborating on what the furry fandom was. Because now I had a different picture of it. Now I had an understanding. But now I'm even more confused than the next person of, okay, so what could Saberina be? And so later on, I want to say my third convention ever. I was going to Megaplex, and, or not Megaplex, yikes, MegaCon, there we go. I was going to MegaCon here in Florida, and that's when I met furries in person for the first time. Now, I was a little hesitant because I was like, oh man, these must be the adults. But then one of them took their heads off, and it was a teenager, which threw me for a loop. Because I'm going, okay, I thought this was for adults. But I know my battle buddy back in training told me that this could be for everybody. So let's see what they say. I met this first shooter. They go by the name of Maru, and her and the group of furs that were with her, they sat down and explained to me even further what the furry fandom was, how they view the furry fandom, and how they live it every day. I mean, I even got a chance to wear one of their friends' fursuits as a partial. And to this day, we are still friends. But wearing that partial, that was really an out of body experience. And I thought cosplaying was an extreme imagination, but wearing that partial was by all means the next level. And so after wearing that partial and running around like a goofball for 5 minutes, because I can remember I nearly died just wearing the head, she told me, like, hey, do you have something that can be resembled as this? And so I cracked a little. Yeah, I do. This soldier told me that my original character can be a persona or furry, but I'm worried that if I do labor her as such, that all these bad things can happen and that she'll change from what she used to be, which was an imaginary friend, a coping mechanism that I had to socialize. I didn't want that to go away. Whew, man, I thought this was going to be easier to talk about. And so she understood. She said, okay. She did the same thing as the soldier. She said, okay, why don't you just think it over overnight? See how it goes. Overnight, after the convention, I was sent right back off to training. Met that same soldier again. And we sat down and he asked me, so, so what do you think? And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a try. And he was happy, right? Went out to eat, sat down, looked at Sabrina as she was. She was still in the mixing pile. And he's like, just make her a little bit more feral and voila, there's Sabrina. Well, I didn't want to keep everything of what Sabrina was. Because, it wouldn't make sense to the Sabrina she is now. So, on January, I want to say 18th, hang on, I got my notes right here, just to make sure my dates are in line. No. So, yeah. January 18th, 2018, I went back to that soldier and I said, you know what? Congratulations. I'm a furry now. And that was just how it all happened. Now, of course, on down the line, I did a lot of stuff. Like, once I officially identified myself as being a furry, I headbutted into this. I literally, no lie, no second guessing, I headbutted into this fandom. I already had my character, so it was just a matter of making a ref sheet, which I did instantly. Made a ref sheet of her, and then now it's part of, well, is Sabrina going to have a new update of her or not? Well, of course, with every new change comes a new image. So she did. Sabrina was now officially a fully feral saber-toothed tiger. Her hairstyle was completely different now. She no longer had the slicked back spikes, she now had the Super Saiyan hair. She no longer had just the little hair fluffs that were going on the side of her face. She now has hair loops from Legend of Korra. She still kept the eyebrows. I still kept a few of the markings. But even then, Sabrina was still the same. Now her background did change a little bit. I took the new birth age of how she was born. I brought that into the Sabrina now and changed the original one to how she was born, which once again, you can read that all in my live journal entries. I'll link all that down below. But with all the changes and everything, my first furry convention, to even the day or morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, to when I first got my first fabric and glue and sewing needle, and I sewed together the first stitches of making Sabrina's head. And trying to make a fursuit in the dark at a military institution is not the easiest idea that I came up with. But it was very symbolic for me because, like I said, you wouldn't expect the military to bring this out in a person. You really wouldn't. You wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, so how did you join the furry fandom? Oh, I joined it when I looked at videos and I watched Digimon and I was into Disney. How did you join the fandom? Uncle Sam got me in. Yeah, let that really sink in. No normal thing happened. Yes, the military got me into the furry fandom. And I'm proud that they got me in. And I'm even more proud that they accept me. The unit that I'm in, yes, they do. My unit does know that I'm a furry. And as long as it doesn't jeopardize anything, I can be a furry for as long as I want to. And it's great. It's really great. I got some really supportive friends in there. And I even met some other military furs that are maybe still currently serving or those who have already retired. It's been the best weird roller coaster of joining the furry fandom. And I wouldn't trade it for nothing. So, yeah. that's how I joined the furry fandom. Man, that was a long video. Sorry if it was long. Hopefully my editing skills gotten better. But if you guys want to show and share how you joined the furry fandom, please leave a comments down below. I would absolutely love to hear how you guys joined the furry fandom. And if you guys want to see more content, give me some ideas. I mean, I'm popping up ideas as it is. I already got 2 in mind. But if you guys have any others that are much more better or bigger than mine, let me know. Also, yes, please let me know if I can do better with the videos, if I can make the audio better. What are some programs, what are some tips I can use to, build my, just to build this channel up. But thank you guys once again for staying tuned. For those who actually stayed throughout the whole entire thing, thank you so much. If you want to follow me, all my links and descriptions are down below. And I will see you guys next time. Ciao.